you go. You have accepted the responsibility of sharing your knowledge.
Woo-hoo!
Thank you so much for coming and sharing your knowledge. My first question is why you picked this particular recipe, and then tell us a little bit about yourself and let's get cooking.
Okay, so the reason why I picked this recipe, one is because I am a mother of three and I work full time and I'm an artist full time. So time is of the essence. I need to get stuff in that tastes good. And so making fruit butter is quick, it's simple. My kids love it. I love it.
Why don't you just buy it?
Because all the preservatives and I just like fresh food. That's just me. I'm a purist in that way.
But also, I mean, if you have stuff that you are starting to get towards the end of its life, you can make it in that butter.
And it's always quicker. I mean,
as they said, everything tastes like butter. I mean, better with butter.
Better with butter. Yes.
Different kind of butter.
So yeah. My name's Janelle. I'm an artist. I'm a mom. I am an IT specialist. And I am a food enthusiast. I love to cook food. I love to eat food. You can't really tell now, but there was a time where I really loved to eat food, and I still do. So I'm gonna share with you guys my version of fruit butter. You can use whatever type of fruit you want. I'm using fresh apples from our apple tree. You can use frozen. You can use dried. It'll just change like the cooking time pretty much for each thing that you choose. So the things that you will need.
And I tend to use the stuff that you want to throw away. These are pears that are starting to turn a little mushy. They're not rotten.
Yeah.
This apple has a bad spot on it.
They don't look it pretty.
This mango is super liquefied.
Yes.
All right.
So,
any type of fruit, is there any type of fruit you feel like you can't use?
I'd say the ones that are a lot higher in sugar might not work as well. They'll work, but if you're someone who's like me that doesn't like super sugary, syrupy things, those types of things would be, I would want to say like bananas, or I'm trying to think of stuff off the top of my head, but stuff that has a really high sugar content naturally. If you're not like a super sugar head like some people are, I would avoid those.
So you mentioned that you could use dried fruit. So when I think of a high sugary fruit dried, it'd be like raisins or dates. So you're saying the same thing. It's just going to be over the top sweet.
Yeah, it's just going to be over the top sweet. What you can do to counteract that is add a little bit more of a citrus aspect to it, or something that is a bit bitter to kind of counteract that. But yeah, it would definitely be super sugary.
So you could
I would say probably stuff that's really high in liquid. I mean, you're trying to cook it down.
Because that would, it would take,
so it takes. You would make a jelly with those instead of a butter.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, you said citrus, so like pretty much any type of citrus.
Any type of, you can use lime juice, you can use lemon, you can use like an orange juice. I mean, anything to kind of cut it a little bit.
To add to it, but I meant as the base. You wouldn't use like something that's high in liquid.
Right. Yep.
My favorite butter I ever made, strawberries.
Ooh.
Very expensive. It would have been, but I just happened to be given like basically a bushel of strawberries.
Nice.
So it was just.
Thank you so much. I love you. More.
Just like, all right, let's get cooking.
All right, so let's get cooking. So grab your fruit. Like I said, I'm using apples from our apple tree because they have been coming down in droves.
You have an apple tree?
Yeah, on our community garden, we have an apple tree, we have a cherry tree, and a pear tree.
What does it take, like 7 years for the fruit to come in or something?
Something like that, yeah. It's been a minute, but I'm so happy.
Plant an apple tree right now.
What?
I said plant an apple tree right now.
Right now, yep, do it.
Yep.
Everybody on it. So we've got our apples. Now for me, I guess I have to sit down. It's like standing up, sitting down. For me, I like to keep the rind on. You can peel it off if you want, depending on whatever fruit you're using. I like to leave the rinds on because it has more nutritional value. That's just me. So
especially if it's organic, you don't have to worry about the chemicals on it.
Exactly. So you're going to cut
if it does have chemicals, or if it's a standard fruit, you would want to rinse off the chemicals.
Exactly. Definitely want to do that. Now mine has some where the little worms have gotten into it. Luckily, I didn't take a bite and catch half a worm, so we're good there. But you want to cut it into small pieces. I'd say like anywhere between a half an inch or a quarter of an inch, so it'll allow it to cook a little faster. If you're using,
basically the smaller, the quicker, right?
Yeah, smaller the quicker. If you're using like berries or something like that, smushing them up a little bit kind of helps. If you're using frozen, you will not need to add any water to this recipe at all.
That already pulled the water out of it.
Yep. And let's see, if you're using dried, you'd want to rehydrate it. So again, not as much water. But you want to cut it into like pieces about this size.
I've never did dried. Well, that's not true. I've made like a quick, jam basically. Like a fresh jam. Well, fresh cooked. Like I was just like, oh, I want some jam, and then I didn't have any, but I had dried fruit.
See, there you go.
So I just tossed it in some water and just cooked it a little bit.
We can use what's in our cabinet, so we like it. So yeah.
So I've got pears, apple, and I've got a mango. Mine's gonna be.
What are some fruits everybody else is using out there?
I've got frozen elderberries.
Oh.
Nutritious and delicious.
And I'm doing organic apples.
Nice. We like it. We like it.
And you had said you cut it down, but you also can mush it up.
Yep. Just a wee bit. And that's for berries though. Like if you have apples or something that, like pears or things that are a little sturdier, you don't really have to worry about that until the cooking aspect of it comes into play. Oh, there we go. There we go. So I heard elderberries. What else do we have? And I heard mangoes and pears. What does everybody else have?
I've got an apple and
Lulu's got apples.
Okay. Oh, apples. Okay. Cool. Cool.
I mean, probably where I'm at, the most common butters are apple butter and pumpkin butter.
Pumpkin. Okay. I don't think I've made pumpkin butter yet, but my pumpkins haven't come in yet, so I think that'll be on my list.
You want to use the typical pumpkins you see around, are like the stew pumpkins. You want to use those pie pumpkins that are sweet, naturally sweet, or you have to add a lot of sugar.
That part, yeah.
I don't think the stew pumpkins taste very good. As you'd have to put a lot of sugar and a lot of like pumpkin spice mix. Even though I hate saying pumpkin spice, because pumpkin spice is actually an artificial flavor.
Is it?
Made to taste. It's like if you go online and make pumpkin spice, you're using like allspice and cinnamon.
Right.
But the pumpkin spice and all the things that's sold everywhere, that's 100% artificial flavor, made to taste like cinnamon and allspice.
Wow, that's a good thing. I've never used it, but that is interesting to know.
You're like, oh, let me like put this natural pumpkin spice in my drink.
There's no.
Nope.
Like, sorry, that's not what you're getting. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but yes. So I'm starting to
I like the taste.
Yeah.
But anybody says, oh, it's the beginning of Halloween season, pumpkin spice is out. And I was just like,
nah.
Enjoy your artificial flavor.
Right. That's not really what you think it is. Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, do you add like pumpkin spice ever to your stuff, or you just try to let it?
No, I usually just the main ingredients that I keep in my cabinet are cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, and ginger. So those, I just use a combination of those. I don't really buy them.
Isn't that a song? Aren't you supposed to like sing that? Like, does anybody know the song?
Nope. Is there a song to it? Is there a song? Can somebody sing it? Do you know it, or?
Not good enough to sing it.
You gonna sing it? You gonna let us hear it?
I know the, what do you call it? It just escaped the spice mix you need for like Thanksgiving for dressing, like
Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme.
Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme.
That's part of the song.
You're trying to get us to sing.
Look, I'm like, I feel like that is a song.
We all know that song.
I'm like, just you wait. He's a sly one.
Come on, Suzanne, you want to do it?
Come on, guys, I don't know it. You got to help me out here.
So I'm doing a shortcut. I just rough because the pears I have are like right at the edge of like edible, so really soft. And so I rough chop them, and then I've got, this is probably my favorite tool. I think it's supposed to be for like doing meat.
Oh, okay.
But I use it for mashed potatoes, and I use it for, like, here, I'm just
mashing it all up.
Just chopping all my stuff. Because I have this, the potato masher. But this actually has like blades on it.
Oh, nice. So it's really cutting up stuff. All right. So how far is everybody into their chopping? I got a pretty good amount here.
Typically, how much do you make when you do a batch?
When I do a batch, I usually make enough to fill like 8 or 9 like pint size mason jars. So I don't know how much that is exactly because I'm not doing math in my head right now. But I try to make a lot because my kids go through it like water.
Well, then they're good kids if they drink water.
That part.
It's just like, no, I mean.
All right, so if you guys are close to getting your stuff in your pot, or you already have it in your pot, the next thing you want to do is have like your citrus. So I always do things by eyeball because that's how my grandma cooked, but for this show particular, I'd say anywhere between a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons of lemon juice or a citrus juice.
Now, is it better to use fresh, or
yes,
is concentrate okay?
Concentrate is fine, but it is better always to use fresh.
Okay, because when we did the canning show last week, he was pretty insistent on the jarred, from concentrate, and part of that was just for the acidity, and also that had already been pasteurized, so she was really into the food safety aspect of it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Yeah, for this one, not necessarily.
Have you ever used vinegar as your acid?
No.
I've heard some people do that.
That might be a thing to try.
Especially if you have, like apple cider vinegar is sweet.
Yeah. So. I might try that. So you'll add that lemon juice right to your pot, and then we're just going to throw this on the stove and turn it on. Medium-high heat, and we'll leave it on there till it kind of gets a little soft. Gets a wee bit soft. Yeah.
So and where are you cooking?
Apples.
Where are you?
Here, I'll show you. Hold on. Right behind me.
Did you with your apples? Did you add any liquid at all?
Nope, just the lemon juice. So I guess, yes, I did add liquid, just the lemon juice. All right.
But I mean, that was just a couple tablespoons.
Yep, just a couple tablespoons. So that's what I've got there. You want to, like I said, you want to keep it on like a medium-high heat. Just kind of stir it around. Once it starts to kind of bubble a little bit, then you'll turn the heat down just a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna put this over here.
You said you don't add any spice to it.
Not yet. That part I wait for things to kind of cook down first, and then we'll add what spices. So I'll show you the ones that I have. I've got cloves, ground cinnamon, ground nutmeg, and ginger. You don't have to use all of these, but those are my favorites that I use. And I like to use local honey. One of my favorites is from Sassy's Apiary here in town. It's got like a nice, smooth, sweet taste to it. Some people like clover honey.
And now what you have to do is take this video to them and ask them for a discount.
There you go. Like, hey, I got y'all here on Leave It to Chef. Just saying.
You got
to help me out.
Worldwide recognition now.
That
part. Now I want a discount. I buy honey by the 5-gallon bucket.
See, I need to start doing that actually, because we go through it like crazy.
I learned that from my dad. My dad worked like seasonal jobs, so a lot of construction and outdoor stuff in the summer, landscaping. So he'd make a decent amount of money in the summer. He'd buy like large quantities of stuff, like 50 pounds of rice, 50 pounds of flour, beans, and he always bought a bucket of honey. Nice. And then a bucket of nut butter. And I distinctly remember the winter that we had not peanut butter, but an almond butter. That was a good winter.
Yeah, now I feel like I should
flour for fresh bread and honey and peanut butter.
All the good stuff.
So you put the honey in now or no?
No, we're going to give this about 5 more minutes, and then we're going to start adding the rest of our ingredients, which would be, the spices that you want. Again, I do mine by like my grandma does. So it's kind of like by sight and by smell. If I want more, I add more. If I don't.
Grandmas call that by heart.
By heart. I like that.
I
cook by heart, people. So I don't know if you guys can see this, but the apples are starting to get a little translucent on mine.
Cinnamon.
And that's what we're wanting to go for, is that they're just a little bit translucent. And once it gets, I'd say give it about 2 more minutes. Then we'll go ahead and start adding our spices.
Mine is simmering. All right, let's see. I think I might just go straight to put a little garam masala on here. Garam masala has cardamom, cinnamon, cloves, cumin, black pepper, and coriander.
Yum. I can have everything except for the black pepper.
But otherwise, I've got ginger and cinnamon. What was the other one? Allspice?
Yep, I've got cinnamon, cloves, nutmeg, ginger.
I think I'm going to put...
So I don't know if you guys can see this, but now my apples, I'm able to kind of just mush them with the spoon. That's right when it gets to that consistency with fresh fruit. When it gets to this consistency, this is where you can start adding in your spices. And you can be as generous or as light with it as you want. Again, to taste.
Be very light with cinnamon. I mean, not cinnamon. Cloves.
Yes, I do very little cloves just because I like a little bite, but too much is extremely overpowering for me.
Any other spice, I'll like dash it in. Cloves, I'll actually get one of these little, like you can get the edge of a butter knife, and just get a little dash.
And put it on.
Someone got me these little spoons.
Oh, I love those.
These spoons say a smidgen, a pinch, a tad, and a dash.
I like that. You're like, what do you need? I just need a smidgen.
You have to decide, do you want a dash, a tad, a pinch, or a smidgen? And with cloves, I usually go with a smidgen.
A smidgen. I like that. Ooh. So right now, this is smelling absolutely Delish. And my apples are getting really super, super soft. So those who have used like frozen, again, you might have to cook it down just a little bit more to get rid of some of the liquid. You don't want a lot of liquid, but you do want some. You don't want it soupy. If you're using fresh fruits, it should look similar to this.
And that's amazing because you didn't add any liquid, and look at how much liquid's coming out.
Yep. So from this point, once you've gotten the spices kind of incorporated into here, you want to turn the heat down to low because we don't want this to cook too fast while we add our honey, because then we'll end up caramelizing. We don't want that. Unless you do, but in this case, we don't.
That'd be a different dish.
Exactly. Altogether. So for me, I don't like really, really sweet butters. Other people do. So it's just to your taste. I usually put anywhere between a tablespoon to like 2.5 tablespoons of honey in, and I just mix it really, really well to keep it from caramelizing, because that's the last thing I want to do. But it should look something like this.
I mean, you're just letting the natural taste of the good local apples.
Yep, that's what I like. The natural flavor comes through. If you're buying
like the generic apples from the store that were picked green and you transported across the country, you have to add more flavor.
Yeah, you do. You really do. Let this cook down for a little bit. It'll start to soften up even more. And mainly, I want to say it again.
Well, this is wonderful. In our town right now, this week is Apple Festival.
Oh, that's right. I miss Apple Fest.
Literally, like all week. And yesterday, I spent 2 hours in the Kiwanis booth, volunteering, selling apple cider slushies, apple butter, caramelized apples. I'm trying to think what else, but it was just apple.
This Apple Fest.
And the funny thing is, it's like I was taking orders, and people would say, "I would like an apple. I'd like an apple cider slushy," and I'd turn to the person who was doing it, and I'd say, "Apple cider slushy," and after like the 4th time, they said, "We only have apple stuff here. You don't even have to say apple."
It's like, oh yeah, that's right. But just in case somebody
I just started saying slushy.
Right. Can I just get a slushy, please? Thanks.
It got busy because they had the parade, so like all these high school marching bands. So we'd get like the whole marching band would line up, like not with their instruments, they put them away, but they were all wearing the same uniform. So you'd have like 30 or 40 people lined up.
Nice.
And you'd do them, and then it would switch to a different color. It was a different high school marching band.
Like, well, we got all the fun.
I added no water to this, and it's so liquidy.
Got natural waters in there. Is anybody else having any issues or questions?
I haven't turned mine out. Well, I think because I mashed it first.
Yeah.
I released more water out.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if I should strain out the seeds.
Let's see. I gotta look and see here.
Yeah.
She's talking about the seeds of the
elderberries.
Probably. I mean,
I wouldn't with elderberries. The elderberries ones are so small versus.
Yeah, but they could be irritating. Look at these guys. They're a lot.
I know when you're some people do that when they're making jelly.
Yeah.
They'll filter out the seeds. And when they're doing jams, they don't. Expect that.
Get back down here. All right, so I'm getting close to being done on mine. My skins are really super soft. Everything is melding just like it should, if you guys can see that. And without me even really having to press hard, the apples just kind of flatten themselves. So mine is close to being done.
Mine has a lot more liquid because, again, I think that
it'll probably have to cook down a little bit more.
Okay, I haven't turned mine down. You turned yours down.
Yeah.
Oh, I just tasted. Oh my God, that's phenomenal. And mine's pears. Pears, I think, have more liquid than.
Yeah.
My mom makes all her butters in a solar oven. She sits it out and lets it slow cook all day.
Nice.
The weird thing about a solar oven or solar cooker is it will dehydrate the food but never burn it.
Oh.
So, I've had it before where I forgot some rice in there. It cooked the rice completely, and then it ran out of water, and so the top layers, and I had to scrape off because it like dehydrated enough that it was need to be recooked.
Like, we're just gonna take this and move it there.
So you're gonna blend yours.
Yes. Now, if you're at this stage and you're fine with having it a little chunky, or you just want to keep it more like, you know.
I mean, I think mine, because I was mostly using pears, I just used one apple. It's fairly liquidy already.
Yeah.
I don't think I have to.
You won't have to do pretty much anything.
And probably Suzanne with her berries probably doesn't have to.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. All right. So I'm going to take mine and just put mine in the blender while you guys are doing that.
But I'm going to get my blender out because I'm going to make some of that drink we made in the past cooking show. It was orange juice and condensed milk.
Orange juice and condensed milk. Ooh, interesting.
In Dominican Republic. I still have one little bottle of orange juice from that. I was just like, go ahead.
Like, I still got it. What do you guys want?
All right. But I was surprised how little honey I put in. And how sweet it is.
It's looking good.
I think it's getting to the point, mine, that I could turn it down. And now I've got it at medium.
Just a smidgen.
Finally. A little bit. All right. Do you actually can yours, or you eat it too quick that you don't actually can it?
So I actually did this past month when we did our pear butter can a bunch. So I've got like all of my pear butter, got a ton of these that we can. But usually if it's something like the weekend or for the week for, you know, the boys having breakfast or something like that, or just a snack, I just make a quick batch and go on with life, because it never really survives past the day. Now today it might, because my boys aren't here.
So you could make this. What do you typically put it on?
As far as I can show you. I made some drop biscuits earlier for breakfast. I usually put it on those, or ice cream, like vanilla ice cream, or sometimes chocolate ice cream. Pear butter and chocolate ice cream. If you haven't had it and you like pears and you like chocolate, that pairing together is really good.
I just happened to buy chocolate ice cream yesterday. Oh my God. I'm like, I'm twitching.
Look, there you go. So yeah, I put it on those things.
I would have never thought of that.
Yeah. I like playing around with flavors, and textures. And yeah, but that one's a good one.
So with a big family, a lot of people think, oh, we'll make pancakes. If you have a big family, pancakes take too much work.
They do.
The only time Mom ever made pancakes is if she got like a cookie sheet, and she'd make one big pancake and she put it in the oven. She'd like do
there you
that,
go,
and then
cut it up, and there you
go. or biscuits, or pancakes. If you have a big family, it takes too much work.
Yeah, it takes too much work to do that. You really have to have like a good system. Indeed.
And so you don't have to blend it. That's just a consistency.
No, you don't have to blend it. I blend mine because I don't like it chunky. I like it to be a little bit smoother, especially when I spread it on things. But you can leave it chunky. Some people like that, and it's perfectly fine. It's still tasty, I think.
It's more like stewed apples and butter.
Yep.
But, I mean,
So let me
what
show
I like
you
about
mine.
yours is it's really short.
Yeah, mine cooked down a lot, but I didn't cook all of the apples, so because it's just me and I didn't want it to go to waste. Ooh, that looks good.
Now, I didn't know if I was supposed to put the lid on because I didn't want it to burn.
No, you can put the lid on or take it off. It doesn't really matter. Like I said, you just have to make sure once you add the honey that you keep stirring it so that it doesn't burn and it doesn't start to caramelize, because that's the one thing you want to avoid. Oh, that's looking good, Suzanne.
Oh, this is Lulu.
I thought you wouldn't want to put the lid on because you want the moisture to.
Right, that could be it too.
Away.
Yeah, but I really wanted to cook. I wanted to. So what's the difference between apple butter and applesauce?
Apple butter, I guess, is a little thicker. Applesauce is just pretty much the apple. There's nothing really added to it. It's just the apple that's been ground down.
Yeah, I feel like apple butter is more like you've got those spices to it. And what I like about yours is normally you think of apple butter as something you would cook for like 5, 6, 8 hours.
Yeah.
Slow cooking. And you're doing that quickly.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is you're blending it to reduce it down. You're not putting any water. Typically, they put a bunch of water to cook the apples. People are usually making a huge vat.
Huge vats of it, yeah. And really, it's just something, like I said, something quick that my kids and I can eat, and it's good and it's tasty, and it doesn't take all day in the kitchen. Now, I will say I have done apple butter in the crock pot. So like I'll start it at night with just like a couple of tablespoons of water or like juice. And then I'll leave it overnight, and I wake up in the morning to really super soft apples or pears or whatever I put in the crock pot. And then I just add my spices and blend it. So that's another way that you can do it too, if you don't want to.
So you don't even cook it with the spices?
No, I usually, because I feel like when you cook it with the spices kind of cook out of it to me, and I don't taste as much.
I agree with that. Yeah, you have. What I do is I tend to like put, I don't know, like 30% and let that cook, and then add 70% at the end.
Yep.
Because otherwise I feel like you have to put like 2 or 3 times as much spice.
You do. And I feel like that's wasteful. Like I want to be able to taste it all the way through. Okay, so I'm going to put myself on mute, and I'm going to blend this since it's cooled down a little bit.
You don't have to mute. It'll auto mute the loud sounds.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we found that out. We found that out in my kitchen. The refrigerators were muting.
It's like, what are we doing here? All right, well, here we go.
I do feel like I have to constantly stir this because the sugars in it start to caramelize in the bottom of the pot. I have been turning it down. I was at a 5, and now I'm at a 2.5. It just keeps getting thicker. Now it's like chunky applesauce.
Yummy. All right, so I've got mine here. It's all done. I'm kind of see the consistency.
Now just add a bunch of water to it and drink it.
Pretty much. We're like, this is a smoothie for me right now.
It's just like.
I need my spoon. Where's my spatula? I love how I can find half of my things.
And now we're going to have you come back on there and make drop biscuits. Because how casually you said, oh, I just made some drop biscuits. I mean, people who make drop biscuits always say that's really easy.
No, it really is. Here, and I'm going to show you because it really is that easy.
No, don't show us now. Don't let us in on.
Like, it's
You're
2
gonna
ingredients.
think it's really easy, but
yeah, it's just 2 ingredients, and that's it. And you need an oven. That's it.
okay. Well, we're definitely having you come back on because for you that sounds really easy. I don't know what it is for me and
everybody else.
Anything to do with flour, I don't know. I've been also. I think.
Like, what are we doing?
I've been like, slightly allergic my whole life, so my brain just doesn't want to learn how to use it.
It's like, I'm not gonna try that, thanks.
But all I know is I just have problems with it.
Boom, boom.
All right, I think mine is.
I mean, look, that's looking good.
I mean, it's kind of like really chunky applesauce right now. Right. Well, it's pears though.
Hairy mangoes. So this is kind of the consistency you're kind of wanting to go for. Slightly thicker than applesauce. But the smell is freaking amazing right now. Amazing.
All right. Suzanne just looks like a jelly.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, it was just berries. All right. I'm going to get some chocolate ice cream and have it on that lesson.
Heck yeah.
Yep. Right. All right.
Dun, dun, dun.
Anybody have any other questions? I feel like we're done.
Yeah.
How does it? Did you taste it?
I'm getting ready to right now. I'm like,
I tasted mine before I put the honey, and then, I tasted it before I put the spices in, and then I tasted it after I put the spices in, and then I tasted it after I put the honey in. So I just, each time
this, I put my foot in that. I sure did. It's good.
What does that mean? You put your foot in it?
Yeah, it's a saying within our family. It's like, you put your foot in this. Not that we actually put our feet in it. We did have a friend who was.
Oh, I've heard that before. That's like you're starting the dance move. You're like,
Yep. You got it. But we had a friend, bless her heart. We were all eating, and one of our friends came in, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, girl, you put your foot in this," and she spits her food all the way out. And she was like, "Wait, you put your feet in this?" So we had to kind of explain to her that it was an expression. It was like, no actual feet were being put in food. But I must say, warm apple butter is delicious.
Ice cream.
If I have some ice cream, I'd straight be putting it on there right now.
There you go. This is like the opposite of apple pie a la mode.
There you go.
This is ice cream.
It's like a deconstructed. Yeah, it's like a deconstructed a la mode.
Oh,
isn't that good?
Oh man, I think I've found a new good dessert for at least 2 weeks.
Hers is still looking like water. Is that the elderberry?
That is the elderberry. And what I did is I tried to leave some of the skins in there, but because I really wanted to remove the seeds, there were a lot of seeds.
Okay.
So mine's going to be more of a syrup, but I'm just going to cook it down for a while and see what happens.
There you go. It'll still be good.
Well, what you should do is, instead of cooking it down, don't waste it. Look up jelly or jam and get like a thickener.
Oh yeah,
so you don't waste that, because that flavor is so poignant.
It
will not be wasted, that's for sure. So,
like, that is not happening. Not on our watch.
All right. Does anybody have any final questions or
any questions?
She can't answer anything. Her mouth's full. So
Yes, I will stop eating right now.
I think my favorite about this is I have made butters so many times, and I always felt like I needed to, 2 or 3 hours of cooking.
No, I mean, as you can see, it literally just took us, what, 20 minutes, maybe 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Really super quick.
I mean, there's mine. I mean, it's really thick, and part of it is, just like,
there we go.
So the chunks are apples and the pears are and then, I mean, I didn't put very much spice in it, and you think of apple butter as darker brown than applesauce. So
yep, and it's usually mainly because of
that, you cooked it for all day long, you burnt it.
Yeah, that part.
Sorry, I'm just getting distracted.
Hey, it's okay to be distracted. Good food in front of you. You gotta eat it. Just saying.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys. I definitely want to come back and show you the biscuits.
All right.
That'd be awesome.